days before the Chiyah, he actually finished the Masechta in 2 days, on Tuesday. As Hashem, today's daf is daf Peites in Masechta Nedarim, and we will begin by the Mishnah right on the bottom of Peches Amid Beis. B'neda Almana Ugrusha Yakum Aleh. This Mishnah starts off with a pasuk. The pasuk says that if a woman is a widow or she's divorced, then any neder that she makes is confirmed. So the Mishnah asks, of course, Ketzad, what's the novelty of that? Who's going to nullify her? She has no husband, and presumably if she's married and she got divorced, she has no father either. So of course, if she makes a neder, that's it. It's automatically confirmed. So what is that talking about? So the novelty is a very interesting thing. Amra, she said, while she was an almana, while she was divorced, she was a single lady. She said, Hareini Nazira, I'm going to be a Nazir, la'achar shloishim yom. I'm going to be a Nazir and should take effect after 30 days. Okay, now, afal pi shenisas b'soich lamed yom, even though she got married during the 30 days, so now, while she's going to be married, this neder of becoming a Nazir will take effect. Eina yachal lahafer. The new husband cannot nullify that neder. Precisely why? Because she made it before she got married. Even though the effect of that neder will take effect after the marriage, we go after. It seems that the Mishnah goes after that. The main thing is when she takes the neder, and because she took the neder prior to marriage, the husband has no right to nullify that neder. Okay, and she took it for notice that the neder should take effect after 30 days. Now we go to Peitesam and Aleph. Nadra v'Hebrew shusabal. Let's say she made a neder and she is in the domain of the Baal, of the husband. I mean, she's married. She made a neder, so then made for law. The husband could nullify the neder, even though it's going to take effect after they get divorced or after he dies. Ketzad, let me give you a case. She's married. Amra, she said, Hareini Nazira, I'm going to be a Nazir, la'achar lamed, after 30 days. Again, after 30 days, I want to become a Nazir. And she's married right now. So, afal pi, even though shinis almana oy niskarsha, even though later on, after the 30 days, she already was divorced. Let's say she got divorced after 10 days. So by the time the neder takes effect, should have taken effect, she was a widow or she got divorced, even though she got divorced or got the divorce, it's nullified. If the husband nullified the neder, so you see a concept that the husband can nullify a neder even before it takes effect. That's the point. Even before it takes effect. So she made a neder that she's going to become a nazir after 30 days. The husband says, I don't want that neder. And then he dies. So supposedly it was supposed to take effect after 30 days. But since when she was married to him, he nullified the neder. So therefore, it's considered a nullified neder. Now we go to a theory. I don't think it's in practice, but not a case like this. Nadra by bayom. She made a neder in 1 day, okay? She made a neder by bayom, which means she made a neder that day she was married. Okay. V'nisgarsha by bayom. That day she got a divorce. And then the husband said regrets. Hechzira by bayom. He got engaged to her, even if he got engaged to her or married to her that day. So she really had a very active day. She was married, got divorced, and got married. Now she made a neder prior to while she was married the first time. The husband didn't do anything. And then he got divorced. And then the husband took her back. So Eina yachal lahafer. He cannot nullify such a neder. Why? Because a husband cannot nullify a neder looking back. Prior to the marriage, he cannot, any neder that she had, he has no right to nullify that neder. Now, I want to point out that if, let's say, sometimes if a girl, let's say a 12-year-old girl, her father can nullify her neder. If she just gets engaged, right, in that situation, the husband and the fiancé and the father could both nullify Nedarim she made prior to the engagement, because there the husband, the fiance, is doing it in partnership with the father. But once after she gets married, we learned this already before, once after she gets married, a husband cannot nullify Nedarim that were made prior to the chuppah. So therefore, here she made a neder that day, and then she got divorced. So even if they got married that day, certainly he can't be made for that neder, because he can't nullify that neder, because he can't nullify things that occurred prior to the marriage. But even if they were just engaged, since already they were once married, she left. There's no partnership anymore with the father. So even if she just got engaged the second time, she cannot be nullified Nedarim because he has no partner there. There's no father there. And therefore, Eina Yachal Lahafi cannot make for the neder. Zaklal, here's the general rule. Kol sheyotza l'rishus atma sha'achas. If a girl left and was back in her own domain for just one moment, like the case over here, during the day she was married, then she got divorced for an hour, and then she got remarried again. So once she was in her domain, it's an automatically confirmed neder, and therefore, even if she gets married again the second time, Eina Yachal Lahafer, the husband cannot nullify the neder because it happened prior to the marriage. We learned in our Mishnah that when a divorced woman makes a neder, so when she makes the neder, it automatically, even if it takes effect after she gets married, still we go after. What's the main point? The main point is we go after when she said the neder. If she said the neder when she was a single woman, the husband cannot nullify the neder. If she said the neder when she was a married woman, even though it takes effect after she gets divorced, then the husband could nullify the neder. It just goes at the time when she makes the neder. That's the most important. So the Gemara wants to say that this is only one Tana's opinion, and the author of our Mishnah is that Tana. Let's see, the Brisa goes like this. Almana ugrusha, a single woman, a married widow or divorcee, Shamra, she said, Hareini Nizira, I want to become a Nazir, if I get married again, she maybe thinks this is Zagula to find her another husband. She says, I want to be a Nazir when I get married again. Benisas, and she get married again. So when did she make the neder? When she was a single woman. When is it going to take effect? When she marries for the second time. Rabbi Yishmael Oime Yafer, the husband, her new husband, can nullify that vow. What does it seem? You go after when the neder takes effect. Rabbi Akiva said, Lo Yafer, he cannot make for such a neder, because when did she actually make the neder? When she was a married widow, when she was single, and therefore he cannot nullify such a neder. V'simonach, you want to remember this? Who said what? Galilee. Rabbi Shmuel is going to say Yafer, and Rabbi Akiva is going to say Lo Yafer. And the following story, it's going to be Rabbi Shmuel is going to say Lo Yafer, and Rabbi Akiva is going to say Yafer, like this. Here's the following case. Eishes Ish, when she's married, to Amra, she said, Hareini Nazira, she says, I want to become a Nazir, Likish as Garesh, when I get divorced. So when is she making the neder? When she's an Eishes Ish, when she's married. And she says, if I get divorced from my bad husband, I want to become a Nazir. So when does the neder take effect? After she gets divorced. The Niskarshan, she got divorced. But let's say before she got divorced, the husband nullified the neder. Rabbi Yishmael says Lo Yafer. It's not considered a nullified neder, because we go after when it takes effect. When it takes effect, she's a single woman. So therefore, with a single woman, she's under no one's jurisdiction. So the husband has no right to nullify the neder. Rabbi Akiva says Yafer. He could nullify the neder, because when we go after when she makes the neder, when she makes the neder is the most important. She made the neder when she was married, and therefore, even though the neder takes effect after she gets divorced, but we go after when she makes the neder. And therefore, when she made the neder, she was an ish. That's why the husband could nullify the neder. So, and the Gemara says that they each brought psukim to prove that what their reasoning is. Rabbi Shmuel says, Harehu Omer, it says in the pasuk, the neder almana ugrusha, a neder of almana, a neder that takes effect of an almana ugrusha, that is automatically confirmed. A single widow or divorcee that makes a neder that took effect, then it's automatically confirmed. That's what the pasuk says. The main point is when it takes effect. When she was an almana or gerusha, then that's when it's automatically confirmed. That pretty much makes sense, because why does the Torah give a right to a husband to nullify the neder? Probably because who wants a wife with a neder? So the husband has a right to nullify the neder. So therefore, we go after, according to Rabbi Shmuel, when the neder takes effect. If the neder takes effect when she's a single woman, I don't care if she made it, the neder, when she was married, but since the neder takes effect as a single woman, the husband has no right to nullify that neder. But Rabbi Akiva Sava, and Rabbi Akiva says, Harehu Omer, but the pasuk says, Kol asher asa al nafsha. Only when she attempted to make the neder is it confirmed. When she made the neder as a single woman, that's when it's confirmed. Then the husband has no rights to make the neder. But we go after when she actually made the neder, which was the time she was a single woman. She was an almana or divorcee. But if she would make the neder when she's married, so then if it takes effect later when she's single, according to Rabbi Akiva, the husband does have a right to nullify that neder. Therefore, she's an ashes ish, and she made a neder. She was married. She makes a neder and says, "When I get divorced, it should take effect." So then, Rabbi Akiva says the husband has a right to divorce. Or that Rabbi Akiva says the husband has a right to nullify the neder. So you're going to ask me, who is the author of our Mishnah? Well, let's take a look. Not Rabbi Hebrew Shusabal. She says, Hareini Nazira la'acha lamed yoim. Our Mishnah says, she says, I'm a Nazir after 30 days. And even though she got divorced during the 30 days, and the husband, before she got divorced, nullified the neder, because we go after when she made the neder. And when she made the neder, she was in the domain of her husband, even though the effect of the neder is technically after she gets divorced, after the 30 days. So Rabbi Chizda right away said, let's go back here. Rabbi Chizda says, Mas Nisin, Rabbi Akiva. Our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Akiva, who said that the main point is what determines whether a husband can nullify his wife's neder is when she makes the neder. If she made it as a single woman, even though it took effect after marriage, he cannot nullify it. If she made a neder after when she's married, even though it takes effect after they got divorced or he died, still he could nullify it. So as a single, so that's that is the author of our Mishnah. That the main point is you go after when she made the neder. If she was married or a single woman. Abaya says, Afilu Teim Rabbi Shmuel. Our Mishnah could go even according to Rabbi Shmuel. And Rabbi Shmuel says you go after when the neder takes effect. But our Mishnah is and therefore, our Mishnah seems to imply that you go after when she said the neder. So that's very different. Masnis Talia Nafsha Biyoyma, Raisa Talia Nafsha Binisuin. Our Mishnah said that she said that she wants the neder to take place after 30 days, right? Let's get and this Brisa says she wants her Naziris to take place after marriage, whether the marriage was absolved. So let's take the difference. So Shoma lo yoma v'lo niskarsha, Shoma yoma v'lo nisnasba. She could complete the days and she didn't get divorced. She could complete the days and not get married. So basically, what he's saying is like this. Take a look at the first case of the case of the Mishnah. Hareini Nazira la'acha lami. She says, I'm going to be a Nazir after 30 days. And she's married now, right? She's married when she said that. So there is a possibility that she's not going to get divorced during the 30 days. and there is a possibility she's not going to, her husband's not going to die during the 30 days. So therefore, Rabbi Yishmael will say that the husband could make for such a neder, could nullify such a neder, because it's possible that she will still remain married, and therefore the power still remains with the husband. When did Rabbi Yishmael say that when she says something when she's married, that it should take effect after marriage, which she says, then he has no rights to mefer, is the case when she says, Hareini Nizira, she's an H's ish, and she says, I'm Nizira lichsha eskaresh. When I definitely get divorced, that's when I went the neder techal. Oh, so it's for sure the chalois, when the neder takes effect, is automatic after the divorce. So then Rabbi Yishmael says, lo yofer, he has no right to be mefer. Only in that specific case, where the neder for sure has to take effect after a change in her position from marriage to divorce. Then Rabbi Yishmael says you go after when the neder takes effect. But in the case of our Mishnah, it doesn't necessarily mean that the neder is going to take effect after a change in her position. It's possible that there is no change in her position. She could still remain married, and the neder will take effect at a different time. So therefore, in our case, in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yishmael would agree that the husband does have a right to nullify such a neder. Next part of the Mishnah, Zahaklal gave the general rule is that if a woman was married and she got divorced and then she gets remarried again, the husband has no right to mefer the neder. She has no right to mefer the neder prior to the marriage. But we learned before that if a woman was engaged and then she divorced from that engaged husband, and then she got engaged to another person, and then that husband gave her a divorce, and then she got engaged to a third person, whatever, as long as she's still considered to be 12 years old, right, her husband and father could be partnerships to be mefer nedarim. Because again, as an engaged person, the husband partners up with the father to nullify nedarim that she made even before she was married. So we say like this. What does that mean? Include, let's say, let's say they're not yet married, the girl's engaged, and the father is now on the way to go to the chasana hall. So that's not considered as if she's married yet. She went with the messengers of the husband to go to the chasana hall. Let's say the father's not even going to the chasana. He's sending her off with the messengers of the husband to take her to marriage. Benara Marasa. There, he does not lose his rights. The father does not lose his rights to nullify nedarim because he didn't give her over into complete marriage yet. Because he's going with her to the chasana hall, or he's sending his messengers, let's say his other children, to walk her to the chasana hall. So he still maintains the power to nullify nedarim. The avio bala mefira nedarab. There, her father and husband could mefer nedarim. That is the chiddush in the Mishnah over there. Zeh klal in our Mishnah, by the katanin gaba ve'elu nedarim in our Mishnah, where we're saying that if a woman gets married, or the husband cannot mefer any nedarim anymore that existed prior to the marriage, latuye, it comes to include masar av l'shluchei habal. If the father gave her over to the messenger, let's say a husband was engaged, a fiancé is engaged to a girl, so together the father and the husband, the fiancé, could mefer nedarim. But then the father said, "Go." He let his girl go by herself with the messenger of the husband to the chasana hall. So by sending her off by herself, he's like giving up all the rights to mefer her nedarim. Or the messengers of the husband will give her over directly into the jurisdiction of the husband. Then since the husband now can act alone because the father is now disengaged because he sent his girl off alone. So then already it's like as if the husband is married, and therefore he cannot nullify any nedarim that existed prior to their marriage. New Mishnah. Basically, this is a very simple Mishnah. All you got to remember is these three rules. A girl who's 12 years old, right? A girl who's 12 years old has three ways. We're going to learn it in the Gemara, but we'll just point it out here. There are three ways that a girl who's 12 years old leaves the jurisdiction of her father, that he can't nullify any neder. Either she's a bogeres, she turns 13, 14, or v'yisaima, or her father dies. Obviously, if her father dies, he cannot nullify her nedarim. Or v'yisaima b'chaya ava. She can be like an orphan while her father is alive. How could a girl be an orphan when her father is alive? Very simple. Let's say she's 12 years old. She got really married, fully married after 12 years old, and then she got divorced. When she gets divorced and she's still 12 years old, the father has lost all his rights to nullify any nedarim because he left her domain. She was married. So Teisha Naras Nidreim Naras Nidreim Kayamim. There are 7 girls. This Naras means 7 girls. I'll give you a situation that they're confirmed nedarim. In other words, that the father has no rights to mefer the neder. A father lost all his rights. And some of this is very simple. But Garish, she made a neder when she was 13. Vihi is Saima. And also, she was married already. So let's say she was married at 12, then she got divorced, right? And then she turned 13. So you have 2 reasons why her father cannot mefer the neder anymore. She already turned 13 and she was married already. That's Nara. Here's another scenario. It gives you 9 cases. Nara, she made a neder when she was 12, Ubagra, and then she got 13 and got married at 13 or 14, and then she got divorced. V'yisaima. Now she's like her father's still around. Again, there are 2 reasons why the father cannot make for the neder, because she's Nara, she got married, and also she turned 13. We go to Amid Beis. Let's say she made a neder, Nara Shaloi Baga. She made a neder, and she's 12 years old, but she didn't turn 13. Be Yisaima, but she got married and she returned, and then she got divorced. So she's a Yisaima, she's like an orphan, B'chaya Av. So there's only one reason why the father cannot make for a neder. She's, after all, 12, but she was married once, completely married. So she already left the jurisdiction of her father. So the Mishnah is going to say all these cases that the father cannot be made for the neder. Here's another case. What happens? She's a begeres. She's 13 years old. Umei Savia, and her father died. Well, obviously, her father, nobody can be made for the neder. Her father is dead, but she also turned 13. 2 reasons why that nobody can make for her neder. Nara begeres. She made a neder when she's 12. Then she turned 13, Umei Savia, and then her father died. Or Nara, she was 12 years old when she married neder. Shaloi Baga, she did not turn 13, Umei Savia. All these cases, since her father is dead, she's basically a girl on her own, and therefore her neder takes effect. Nara Shemeis Avia, Nara, that her father died, Shemeis Avia Bagra, and when her father died, she turned 13. Okay, Begeres, she's 13, Vavia Kaim, and her father is alive. Okay, she's already 13. Nara Begeres, or let's say she is 12 when she made the neder. Then she turned 13, Vavia Kaim, even if the father is alive. All these cases, of course, she's a woman that's on her own. Again, this is like, it doesn't have to tell you all these different scenarios. It could give you the basic rules, but that's, the way they would sharpen the students is by giving them a whole bunch of scenarios so they remember the general rules. And we'll review the general rules in a moment. Rabbi Yehuda says, if a woman, let's say a girl, she got married when she's 8 years old, totally married, and then she got divorced, right? So now she goes back to her father's jurisdiction. Even though she turns 11, 12, now she can make Nedarim, but she was married once already when she was an 8-year-old. And therefore, she's considered an independent woman, and the father cannot nullify such a neder. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav, Zudi Rabbi Yehuda. Our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda, who tried to sharpen the students by giving them 9 scenarios, which are all pretty much the same general rules. Chacham says it's basically boils down to shalosh naras, 3 types of girls, nidreim kayomim. They're independent girls. Their father has no right to nullify the neder. And this is the way to remember it. Bageres, a girl who turns over 12 and a half, 13, done. She's independent girl. V'yasaima, Of course, if her father's dead, the chiddush is that we don't say, oh, her mother can now nullify the neder, or her older brothers can nullify the neder. Cannot. It's all the yasoyma b'chaya aviyah. And sometimes she's a yasam when her father is alive, which means that if she got married once, totally married, and got divorced, or her husband died, even though she's still young enough to go back to her father's jurisdiction, the father does not have right to mefer the neder. Okay, new Mishnah. Now, we learned before that if a husband could mefer a neder that takes effect later. Let's say she makes a neder, I'm becoming a nazar after 30 days. Right now, the husband can mefer the neder, even though it did not take effect, because we know for sure it's going to take effect. What happens if you don't know for sure it's going to take effect? You don't know for sure it's going to take effect, but it's dependent on something that is, could lead to marital strife. Then the Mishnah is going to say the husband could make the neder. Let me give you the case. She says, I'm never benefiting from my father or my father-in-law. If I serve my husband's supper. So she says, if I serve my husband's supper, right, then automatically I'm taking a neder on all of my father and my father-in-law's possession. Maybe her father is a rich guy, or maybe her father-in-law is. So basically, this could lead to marital strife. Or let's say the opposite case. She says, I'm never benefiting from my husband. If I make supper, or if I have any benefit, if I give any benefit to my father, to your father, which most likely there's a lot of interactions between, his father and her father. She's probably going to eventually do something nice for her father, his father, and then the result of that will be that she'll never be able to benefit from her husband. So the neder did not take effect, but right away from the start of the neder, you can see that this neder could lead to marital strife. We still give the husband the right to nullify the neder, even though technically it could, she could, make it in such a way that the neder never takes effect. But we give the husband rights to nullify the neder because, again, it has the smoke smoke about it that could cause marital strife, knowing that she has this neder hanging on her head that potentially can hang on her head. One more line, Tanya, that the author of our Mishnah is the Chachamim. Tanya, we learned in the Brisa. She says, I'm never benefiting from your father and my father if I serve you supper, right? So our Mishnah said you could be mefer. So Rab Nosson lo yafer. There's no rights to the husband to mefer the neder. It didn't take effect. The Chachamim said yafer. He could mefer the neder, even though it didn't take effect. That's his right. It's a bad thing to have. Or she says, if I ever have marital relations with you, I'm never going to have marital relations with any Jew. Okay? So technically, she can go about her life and never have marital relations with her husband. And then the neder doesn't take effect. So Rab Nosson lo yafer. Since the neder did not take effect, he has no right to nullify that neder. He could make for such a neder. He could make for such a neder because eventually he's going to have relations with her. And to make totally aser relations on herself is an inu nefesh type of neder. So it could lead to an inu nefesh type of neder, and it's almost impossible to keep. So Chachamim hold that he has a right to be made for such a neder. Okay, we will continue Be'ez Hashem with a story tomorrow, and we're on our way to finish the Masech Be'ez Hashem.